Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Quick message before the program starts. Now, if you want all the recipes from my brand new Italian cookery series, you've got one simple thing to do. We've created an ebook. We've pulled all the recipes together. I've dug deep into my archive and found some amazing images of when we spent loads of time in Italy. We've put it all together as a team in an ebook for you. All you have to do is write free book in the comments now. It will then open up into Facebook Messenger. Follow the instructions and it will automatically deliver you the PDF version of our ebook of Peter Sidwell's Kitchen, A Taste of Italy. It's really simple. We'll put it down the side here, follow the instructions, and you'll get the book. Save it wherever you like, on your tablet, on your phone, or on your computer, and you've got it. Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Today is all about Italian desserts. We're going to bake the most beautiful biscottis flavored with pistachio and marmalade for a really beautiful flavor. And then I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious Italian espresso coffee semifreddo. So it's like a non-churn ice cream. It is absolutely delicious. Right, first of all, the biscotti. So biscotti is basically Italian for biscuit. Really easy, simple recipe. These are amazing. It's a reason to make a cup of coffee. And it all starts off with just some plain flour. Okay, now if you want the recipe, you could go scan the QR code along the bottom and that will take you to my website, petersidwell.com, or you can get the ingredients from down the side here and then just follow me. So we want a little bit of baking powder, which will just help us have a little lift. Teaspoons. I moved the teaspoons the other day. Emma had a really good idea to put the teaspoons next to the coffee and the tea. And now I keep going to the drawer to find them. So half a teaspoon of baking powder. In we go. Then I've got some caster sugar. Straight in. Actually fat-free these. You don't put any fat in biscotti. So blend those together. Now you could add a little bit of spice if you wanted to those. You can add some mixed spice, a little bit of ginger if you like, whatever you fancy. But I am going to flavour mine with a touch of marmalade because I really like just that little bit of orange, like not full-on flavour, but just a hint. Okay, so pistachios. For me, biscotti, it's either pistachios or almonds. Those are the two nuts I like to use. You could do plain if you want, and some people do chocolate ones, but for me, I like nuts in these, and I like them to either be pistachios or almonds. You need to use the blanched ones, you know, the ones that are already peeled. Yeah. Otherwise you get the sort of all the husk in there and everything. So, then 4 free-range eggs, straight in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thought I had a double yolker then for a minute, but I haven't. And then a teaspoon of marmalade. Now, if you haven't got marmalade, you could use some orange blossom oil. You could use some orange zest, or you could put something else in, lemon zest if you prefer, but I quite like the orange, subtle orange flavour in there. So, get a fork and just whisk those eggs together in the centre. Just mix, mix, mix. And then we'll start to pull it all together. So just work it round. Now biscottis keep forever because you bake them twice, okay? And once you've cracked these, you'll make them all the time. Perfect with a coffee. Like a biscotti? Yeah. I remember the first time I had a biscotti and I was like, crikey, I'm going to break my teeth on these. Because they're baked twice, they are quite rock hard, but once you dip them in a coffee, a nice cappuccino, That's it. Right, let's pour those out and then just start to work the dough together. So this episode, we very much centered it around coffee, and we thought we'd, inspired by Naples. And I visited Naples. It was actually the first place in Italy that I did visit. It's quite a chaotic city. It's not, some people say it's not for the tourists, but I disagree. I think it is. It's a great place to visit, but it isn't Rome. It isn't Milan. It's very much Naples. It's chaotic, but it works for the people of Naples, that town. But I had the most incredible coffee, the most amazing pizza. Oh, if ever you need to go and have pizza, go to Naples. It's amazing. Right, I'm just going to go wash my hands and then I'll be back. Okay, all clean. Right, let's have a little bit of flour just so that we can work with our dough. It's quite sticky, but that's okay. Just going to use cut it into 4. Okay, so there's the first one, second one. Right, and what we need to do is we just roll them into a bit of a sausage shape, and then we will transfer that onto a non-stick baking tray. Okay, so roll that. You don't want to add too much flour because you don't really want to dry them out. You just want them to spread and bake. Well, it's first bake. Okay, because if you remember, we have to bake these twice. And I'll show you in a second. So I've got some in the oven already made, ready to go. So we're going to bake these in the oven at 180 degrees. And they're going to take about 15 minutes. There we go. Now I've got some over here that I have already cooked, or should I say baked, once. So let's just move those out of the way. Then if you see these, I'm just going to have to bring a chopping board in, Emily. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Yep. About there? Happy?
Yep.
Okay, so you can see they've spread. They don't look a lot like a biscotti yet. All right, but I promise they will look good in a minute. Right, so this is the first bake, okay? So they've spread out, and then all you need to do is, I like to trim the end off, and I can eat that bit, because that's ready. But the rest, use a serrated knife, so that you cut through the pistachios, and you get a nice, clean cut, okay? And I'll show you in a second. There you go. Have a little taste of that, see what you think.
Thank you.
So pop that onto there, and then you can see, because we've sawn through them, they've got a nice clean cut. The pistachios haven't moved, which is what we want. And then our second bake, we'll just set those in place. So we'll just saw that off. There we go. So once you've placed them all on the baking tray, we're going to knock the oven right down to 150 degrees, and we will just let them dry out. And by baking them twice, it means that they will keep for ages. We'll keep them in a kiln jar, sort of preserving jar, whatever that might be. Put them next to the kettle or the coffee machine, and you will have them whenever you want to make that lovely cup of coffee. And have one with a coffee. They are amazing, I promise you. In the next part of this episode, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful espresso flavored semifreddo. Now, semifreddo is like a frozen, a bit like an ice cream, but you don't churn it. You actually pour it into a loaf tin and you freeze it and slice it up. It is absolutely delicious. Right, got my espressos. This is the backbone of our flavour. Espresso, there's nothing more Italian than espresso. And there's a real classic dessert called an affogato, which is basically vanilla ice cream and coffee. And that is my inspiration sort of for this recipe. I wanted to create a really delicious recipe that brings those flavours together. So we're going to go semifreddo, which is like semi-frozen in Italian. So the first thing we need to do is get our egg whites and our meringue done. So we're basically going to whip up some cream, we're going to flavour that cream, and then we're going to sweeten it and lighten it up with a meringue. Freeze it, and we're good to go. So, egg whites first. So I'm just going to pour it through my hand, catch the egg white, and I will keep the yolk for something else another day. So you just crack the eggs and just let the white pour out, and then pop the yolk over there. Now, if you want the recipe for this dish, you can scan the QR code along the bottom. That will take you to my website, petersidwell.com. And all the recipes from this series are there, as well as all the others. And you can also download our free app if you want to. Just go to your Google or your Apple App Store and put in Peter Sidwell's Kitchen, and we are right there. Download it on your iPad or your phone or whatever you like. Okay, so wash my hands. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to whisk up our egg whites. Now, it's really important, I always think, a little bit of salt at the beginning will break the egg whites down and allow them to whip up much quicker. So, start whipping your egg whites. And that salt will just break the white down really quickly and allow us to get to that frothy volume of meringue that we want. This meringue is going to add a lightness to the dish, but also a sweetness and a richness as well. That's kind of what makes it different from ice cream. So it's just starting to foam up now. In a minute, that's when we can start to add some sugar, but not yet. Just get the egg whites sort of bouncing, get them foamy, not necessarily like meringue yet. So we take our sugar and we're just going to add a little bit at a time. Don't just dump it all in, okay? We want that sugar to dissolve in the egg whites. There we go, in with the last of the sugar. So now we just need that final whisk, and that will get all that sugar fully dissolved into the meringue. Right, the meringue is ready. Let's just put that to one side. So what we've got, what we're not trying to create is like pavlova meringue. We're trying to create a really nice, thick, rich meringue that is super silky and smooth, okay? And sweet. Because of the sugar content that's in this meringue, that'll stop it freezing solid. So I've got some whipped cream here. So I've whipped this to a soft peak. Okay, and that's important. And what we're going to now do is add our espresso to our cream. Okay, so that's our flavour. So what we've got now is a flavoured cream. Okay, so you could add, if you were doing a fruit version of this, you would add your fruit puree to your cream. Or if you were doing a chocolate parfait, you would add your melted chocolate and your cream together, and then we add our meringue. Okay, so it can all go in at once. Love this recipe. It's so easy. You can get it done in advance, days before, or make it up, keep it in the freezer for whenever you want it, and it is ready to go. Now what you need to now do is incorporate these two together. So just fold them together, just sort of turn and flick it, okay? And you just want to get that lovely, smooth meringue working all the way through the cream. It just lightens it up, it gives it sweetness, and it's going to make it taste like affogato. Okay, that's it. Really easy to do. Right, so you want a 2-pound loaf tin, okay? And then I'm just going to find my cling film. Here we are. And then unravel that. So you want 2 sheets. So double it over, just to make sure. And then tear that off. And then just use the back of your hand and push it into the loaf tin, okay? And then simply take your Semifreddo mixture and pour it in. Look at that. Perfect. Get all your last little bits in. There we go. There we go. Right. All we need to do now is pop this in the freezer. I would freeze it overnight. Give it a chance to really fully freeze, but you've got it then. So make more than you need and you are good to go. Right, I've got some here. Right, here's one I made earlier. I'm just going to unwrap it and we are ready. So you can see this has just had like 2 or 3 minutes out of the freezer. I'm just going to grab a plate. Let's get a plate. Do you have affogato in Spain?
No, we don't.
You don't? Do you not? So I'm just going to push the knife through. And there we have got a perfect slice. Okay, and then we will take a couple of our biscottis and just pop those on there. And there you go. That is my espresso Semifreddo served with pistachio and orange biscotti. If you want any of these recipes from today's show or the entire series, scan the QR code along the bottom. It will take you to my website, petersidwell.com, or you can download our free app, Peter Sidwell's Kitchen, and you will get all our recipes there. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode.